Hello, my name is Paul Burkhart. I became a member of the Crossroads Church a little bit before 2005. We're at Bible study, and my pastor got me at the end of the couch. I was sitting on the floor, kind of keeping out of sight. And he says, "Paul." I said, "Yeah." And he led me through the Savior's Prayer, which was a good thing. I think it was a really good thing. Since that time, I've had family members. My second youngest brother, shortly after that, he went for an operation. He lives in Oshawa, and he had cancer of the tongue. And he was going in on a Monday, and we're at Sunday service, and it was upstairs from this building. I had asked, before we left, I asked the congregation if they would pray for my brother. And they stopped what they were doing, and I believe Pierre led the prayer that day. I think Jacques passed it over to Pierre, and he prayed. And I'm telling you, it was a prayer. It's like, I'm not used to this. I was raised in the Anglican church. Things like this didn't happen. So when we left, my wife said to me on the way downstairs, she says, "That man can pray." And I thought, yeah, he can pray. I was really impressed. Well, what had happened was my brother went and had the operation. And I don't know if you want me to get graphic, but I'll explain it to you what was explained to me. What they did was they cut your throat, they pull your tongue out, and they take half the tongue off, and then they take a piece of the arm off and put it on the tongue. They put it back in, they sew everything up, and they take a patch off the leg to cover the arm. So, needless to say, this man can't breathe. They put a tube down his throat into his lungs so he could breathe. So this operation took place in Mississauga. They live in Oshawa. My oldest brother drove him. So about 1 o'clock in the morning, or midnight, Rosie, my brother's wife, decides, okay, we can't do no more, let's go home. So they drive about an hour to Oshawa. They get home. My brother Dave was having a cup of tea or something, and he got a phone call from Rosie an hour later, and they had to go back to the hospital. Les wasn't breathing. And Rosie said, we were running down the hallway, and she was signing the paper for Les to be operated on. And as she was doing that, one nurse had jumped on the gurney and was pulling the tube back. I guess they were getting ready to intubate. I'm not quite sure of the word. But what they did was, when she pulled that tube, it lodged back in place where it was supposed to be in the first place. And he started, you could hear him breathing through the tube. And everybody just like commented, "Oh wow, what happened?" And from what my sister-in-law told me, she said, the nurses told her, there's no way this man should have lived. He should not have made it through the night. They cannot believe how he managed to get enough air, because everything's totally blocked. You're so swollen. And then I explained the prayer to her, and she said it had to be. It just totally had to be. Because there's no other way for this man to be alive. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And the other great thing this coming to Christ has done. One of the female cousins I grew up with, a lot of family members in Toronto. 32 cousins in a very small neighborhood. We're wild and crazy. She was a bit wild and crazy, and I had phoned. She had moved out of Toronto to Aurelia, and I'd phoned to talk to her sister. And as we were talking, they bought this house, I had it built, and everything was wrong, everything. Walls were caving in the basement, ceilings were collapsing, and I was telling her, you can't worry about it. And through whatever I was doing, she said to me, she said, there's something about you, you've changed. And I said, well, what do you mean I've changed? I never really thought you could hear it. She said, you're calm. You've never, ever been like this. What's happened? And I explained about giving myself to Christ. And she said, it works. She said, how do you do it? So I cut short and ran down to the church, talked to Pastor Jacques and Jaron. I said, my cousin's on the phone, and she wants the Savior's Prayer. I don't know how to do it. So they gave me this little blue Bible. highlighted what I was supposed to say to her. I went back home, phoned her. That night I got a hold of her. She said the prayer, and she said, what do I do? I said, you've done it. I said, right now the angels are writing your name in the Lamb's Book of Life, and heaven is rejoicing. In a nick of time, within a month and a half, my cousin died of brain cancer. And thank God she got saved. And that's it.